so much of like when you make certain decisions in the fund documents, it has implications and downstream consequences that if you've never done it before, you don't really know what those are. So it's easy to make mistakes. I mean, well-intentioned mistakes to solve certain problems, but oftentimes you're creating, two or three other more serious problems than the one you were trying to solve in the first place.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Tiffany Alexander, and this is Unveiling Journeys. If this is your first time coming, welcome. I'm excited to get to know you. If this is your second time coming back, third time, whatever, nice to see you again. A little bit about me. I absolutely love the power of high-level masterminds, networking with the right people. And when I get to know incredible people, I try to remember to ask the question, who do you know that I need to know next? But also, by the way, I know several people that need to know you. And then a lot of times those amazing people end up on the show because I asked them, please let me share your story. So with that, that's exactly why Matt's going to be on the show today. And I want to tell him or let him tell a little bit about his story and where he's at and kind of what he's up to. So with that, thank you so much, Matt, for coming on the show. Welcome, and tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you're up to right now.
Thank you, Tiffany. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I these days I run a business, a private fund advisory and administration business. So our real target market is helping people who are new, aspiring, or first time, or maybe second time, but small, non-institutional middle market managers that are launching and running their own private investment fund, largely in the real estate space, a lot of real estate equity and debt. But I've been doing that for many years, and both as a manager myself, running funds, and then also as an advisor and an executive, helping other people that are aspiring to do that avoid some of the mistakes I've made and save them money and that kind of thing. So that's really what I'm up to these days.
I love it so much. And there's a little bit of a reason why I love having you on here, because I have gone through some of the pains that you've gone through. And now as a fund owner, I'm like, what? There was a company that was out there that could have saved me more shortcuts. And so being able to shout to the rooftops for some incredible people that have invented businesses to help streamline some of the things that somebody may do in the future, I need to be a megaphone for you. I need to say, listen, I've been there. I've done it the hard way. And occasionally I'm still doing it the hard way. I'm like, oh, we need to talk later about some of the things that we're working on right now. So that is why I was so excited to have you on, because I believe everybody that's going in this direction needs to at least consider only you or consider you as one of the top choices to be able to solve the problems that you've already done and solved versus somebody having to go do it themselves. Let's do this. Tell me a little bit about from the beginning, like where are you from? Where are you at right now? And like, what did you want to be when you grew up? Because I don't imagine you thought you were going to be doing this.
No, I certainly didn't. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in California. We moved around a fair amount when I was young, but I went to high school in the Central Valley, Modesto, which is, I believe, where you're at.
Yes, I know. I was like, oh, we're so close to each other. I'm still in Modesto.
Ironically. So I went to high school there. I went to college in Davis outside of Sacramento, up not far from there. So, lifelong Californian. I didn't really have a master plan. I mean, if I had to pick anything I wanted to be when I grew up, it was probably a professional basketball player, but that didn't really work out. So I ended up after school going to work for a finance company, and that's where I started first getting into real estate. And over time, I mean, I gravitated toward the real estate finance side. I had an opportunity to move up to Oregon as a promotion for a company I was working for in the early 90s when I was still in my mid 20s. And so sight unseen, basically, I moved from California as a lifelong Californian up to Oregon, and I've been here ever since. And that's, more than 30 years later. I've spent more than half my life now in Oregon. So yeah, that's where I came from. So I live up in Portland, Oregon area, just outside of the city, and yeah, it's a great place to live in so many ways.
Yeah. In your first job going straight into finance, what were some of those turning points where you're like, I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this direction or this way? And then how did you get exposure into the real estate side of things?
Yeah, well, I went to work for a company called Household Finance, which is I think long gone now, but it was a consumer finance company that did sales contracts, consumer loans, and they did some home equity lines of credit. So it
Mm.
was the home equity lines of credit that kind of first got me what is real estate? How do you value it? How do you determine a loan to value? How do you, what's a comp? All of those kinds of things is where I first got exposed to it. There was a lot of parts of the consumer finance business I didn't like selling accidental death and dismemberment insurance to people that really didn't need it, or charging 25-30% interest rates to people that, clearly shouldn't be financing, $500 to buy another television or whatever. But, so, I didn't love the consumer finance business, but I liked real estate. So I gravitated out of that, and through a series of, other positions, I think I finally started saying, okay, I need to get serious here. I'm 25 years old. What do I really want to do? And that's when I kind of started, I don't even say turn my life around, because it was not like it was a mess, but started getting more serious about what I wanted to do, as a career and so forth. And, one thing led to another from there.
Let's talk about some of that stuff. So, what was your first experience in the real estate space? Like, what kind of deals were you working on?
Well, it was, once I'd say the first real dedication to real estate was working at a thrift and loan back in the early 90s. It's called TOPA, TOPA, Thrift and Loan. They were out of Beverly Hills. They had 16, 18 offices around California. That was a company that opened an office in Oregon. And it was a promotion for me. So I came up here to open that branch. And we did what amounts to what you call today hard money loans. I mean,
Yeah.
commercial real estate, mostly it was, I mean, we did some residential, but it was mostly commercial of all types. I mean, yeah, office, multifamily, retail, industrial, you name it. If the loan to value was reasonable and the people had some, pretty good shot at paying us back, we would lend 50-60% loan to value. And I remember in those days, Tiffany, it was the interest rates were, we had three programs. The A borrower got prime plus 3 and 3 points. The B borrower got prime plus 4 and 4, and C got prime plus 5 and 5. And this was when the prime was at 11. So yeah, it was not cheap money, but it's like much like today. Obviously, there's a lot more choices today. The market's developed in so many ways in the last 30 years, but that's where I cut my teeth in the hard money business.
That's incredible. And the fun part is you didn't cut your teeth in the flipping, meaning like you already got started in paper, which quite honestly is a graduate up from wholesaling, tats, liens, and deeds. Flipping landlording, it gets sort of hairy because it's so many unknown variables that you can't control. Literally, you cannot control.
Like yeah, yeah. I mean, and in the days since, I mean, I've run 11 funds in the last 25 years. I've done debt, equity. We've set up funds. I mean, I've played the lead advisory role in helping other, I'll say, people like you that want to run their own fund, across just about anything you can imagine, including buying distressed debt individually in bulk, flipping houses. I mean, kind of you name it, we've set up a fund around it. So I've learned through the last, 10, 12 years on all the funds we've set up, the ins and outs of all that. We've also syndicated a lot of equity over the years, and some of that went fantastic. Some has gotten hurt very badly, and that's incredibly painful. When you're running an investment vehicle that doesn't make money or loses money for your investors. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I got a lot of battle scars over a long period of time in the private real estate space, real estate fund space. And these days I spend most of my time trying to help other people do it as best they can and make as few mistakes as possible.
Absolutely. I feel like it's the conversation that we had an opportunity to hang out before this podcast. You had mentioned running these 11 funds that you had opened yourself or helped with other people and been like a huge impact in that led to you seeing some recurring problems that people were doing, which ended up helping you decide, wait a minute, I don't just want to keep opening these funds and controlling them and raising money, but I want to solve the problem that all of these funds keep having over and over, or the problems that I seem to be helping other people. Tell me more about some of those problems that people are going to come into and they're going to end up needing you for a solver of that.
Yeah, and I'd say uh, high level and quickly, the decision to get into the advisory space and helping other people set up their own funds really was born out of necessity is often the mother of invention, right? So coming out of the Great Recession, we were winding down our then largest fund. I had people asking me for advice and guidance on, hey, I'm thinking about setting up a fund, Matt. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And after the fourth or fifth one, I realized, look, there's a lot of people that need that help that, you normally would go to a securities lawyer, and you have to go to a securities lawyer. You absolutely have to have all those documents, but that's often not necessarily going to get you the business guidance or experience that you're looking for. And that's really where we focused, was on the business side of things. So in the course of the last 12 or 13 years, Tiffany, doing that, I mean, and having, run plenty of my own vehicles, I just understand so much of, like, when you make certain decisions in the fund documents, it has implications and downstream consequences that if you've never done it before, you don't really know what those are. So it's easy to make mistakes. I mean, well-intentioned mistakes to solve certain problems, but oftentimes you're creating, two or three other more serious problems than the one you were trying to solve in the first place. And people do it unknowingly all the time. That's the kind of value that, I feel like we bring to the table for those people, is to help them solve problems they don't even know they're creating.
Right. Right. Yeah, some of those problems that I've even experienced myself was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm buying debt." And then the debt is converting its asset class from, "Hey, wait a minute, I'm buying a performing note." So that poses a tax problem in and of itself because I bought the note at a discount. So we're
That's
looking
right.
at, "Wait a minute, I've got phantom income here. People don't even know what that is. I wish you had bigger problems because you're making a lot more money in it." And then from there, "Oh, wait a second. Now it's no longer performing. It's going to
That's
go
right.
non-performing." A bookkeeper looks at me and goes, "I have no idea what you're doing."
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you need to actually have specialized people to understand the type of where this goes, how it gets looked at, how it gets reported. Oh my gosh.
And that's
I'm
and that's
feeling
on a
this.
single if you do that on a single note, if you think about it in a fund, let's say you're buying, I've had clients that have done this, the clients that I'm sure you know who they are, that set up a fund to buy a pool of discounted notes. And if you buy 20, 30 notes, some of them are performing, some are non-performing, some are REO, and some, the day after you bought it as a non-performing note, it turned into REO. And then you turn around and you sell the property on a contract, and now it's a new performing note. Every time it goes from performing to non-performing to REO, that's a different accounting treatment, right? And if you have 20 or 30 assets that on a daily basis are going from this one to this one to this one to this one, your typical bookkeeper has absolutely no idea how to deal with any of that. So if you're doing it in a pooled fund format and you're being expected to try to calculate the appropriate treatment of that are in conformance with the operating agreement that the lawyer drafted, who didn't really understand the accounting things in the first place, let alone the manager who doesn't understand the accounting. I mean, this happens all the time, and that's actually an extreme example, because the notes can be very, I mean, because they're always treated differently. But in every type of fund, you have similar things to what we just described. That, I mean, most real estate people that are running a fund, they're running a fund because they're good at real estate. They know how to buy real estate, they know how to identify it, lease it, fix it up, buy and sell, but they have no idea what the underlying accounting treatment is, let alone when you put it in a pooled investment fund that you're then accountable to a bunch of investors for. This is kind of the origin of I mean, I learned all that stuff the hard way, right? I didn't know any of that either when I started my first fund, but 11 funds later, you know, I understand all of these issues now intimately, and that makes me a better advisor.
Absolutely. Yeah. I decided to go big or go home. I was gonna do the hardest fund right out the gate. Why not, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
when you upgrade from flipping and holding and you don't wanna be a landlord anymore, you're like, "I'm in. Let's just go all in for the way it
yeah.
needs to be." Hey, tell me about some of the influential moments that you had leading up to the change in this, or, like, some things that maybe leadership or mentorship had poured into you that you still use to this day or pass on to other people that now, you give the credit for the advice a few times, and then it kinda becomes your advice that you get to give to other people.
Yeah, there's so much of it, so many points along the way. It's hard to identify, specifics, but I would say the one that sticks with me the most is, like, back in the very early days in my mid to late 20s, when I kind of discovered Earl Nightingale. If you remember that name, he was known as the dean of personal development. But it you become what you think about, right? If as you think, so shall you become, is very, very true. I'd say as time has gone on, I've even gone more than that, in terms of it's really more than what you think. It's who you really are in consciousness. But now I'm getting into the spiritual realm that I probably don't want to completely go to in this podcast. But I mean, I think a lot of it is just, be conscious of the thoughts that you have in your mind and direct them to where you want them to go, because that will influence your life greatly.
Absolutely. Now, were there people that helped you answer some of these questions along the way that helped you get there quicker to, I mean, stumbling through fund number one to go to number two, like being able to say, all right, we're going to do this better this next time, all the way up to kind of inventing this company and the service that you have now?
Yeah, there's absolutely people along the way. I'd say I got very into listening to audiobooks and tapes back, well before Audible was around, and a lot of, audio cassettes and CDs and so forth. So a lot of personal development material, countless authors and people like that I'd never even met certainly had a lot of influence on me. But then also people that I met along the way. I mean, these securities lawyers that played a big role in helping me understand all this stuff, service providers, accountants, CPAs, auditors, partners that I've had along the way that have had a big influence on me, mentors, business coaches. So yeah, there's lots of people that have influenced me in various ways over the years that too numerous to count.
Absolutely. I hear you on that. Especially considering the library behind you. You've got so many books. It's like, I bet those are, well, if you're like me, I have them all highlighted up because I'm not going to get rid of this thing. These are like reference
Yeah,
points to
yeah,
go back to over and over.
yeah.
That's awesome. What would you say is your favorite way for people to come find you? Because you're thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm there. I need to talk to somebody just like you for them to be able to reach out.
Yeah, certainly. I'm very active on LinkedIn. And so that's always a good way to find me on LinkedIn. Our website is verivest.com. There's a lot of information about us and contact information there. And you can always email me. It's matt.burk@verivest.com. But LinkedIn's always a great place to start.
Oh, that's great. And if you guys can't find him, come find me and I'll connect you because that's what we're all about. It's like making all these connections with the people who you need to know next. Because if you're not asking yourself, who do I need to know to level up what it is I'm doing right now? You're not stretching yourself. You're not stepping outside of your comfort zone by all means. Matt, there's so much stuff and so much wisdom that you have gained and that you've studied and that you carry on with you. What's maybe your top two favorites that you like to leave with people that you want them to simmer on, or even like your favorite book that you want them to go and chew on before the next thing that they go do in their business?
Yeah, I think just being a lifelong learner, right? And just dive into as much material as you can, and it'll lead you in all kinds of interesting directions. And I feel like now is there's more information available today than there ever has been in all of humanity. So it's really no excuse for not, being able to go out and find information from wherever it comes from. I would say in terms of, I mean, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People was a book that affected me greatly over a long period of time. And I still use a lot of the habits in there to this day. I'd say my favorite sales book is something called Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play by a guy named Mahan Khalsa. And he actually hooked up with Stephen Covey that wrote Seven Habits. But Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play is it's fantastic material that talks about the idea of always bringing value to other people. I mean, you're not ever trying to sell somebody something they don't want or need. People don't like to buy. I mean, to get sold, they want to buy, and don't try to sell them something they don't need, right? Always deliver value if you do that. But you need to, it's not easy, especially in complex sales, to even define what value really means to them because they don't articulate it particularly well most of the time. So that book, I use it as a foundational thing, and just in terms of how we approach not just sales, but relationships in general. So yeah, I really love that book.
That's incredible. That's one of the things I didn't realize was almost like a core value of mine was meeting people and then saying, how can I add value to you? Instead of like, hey, here's my thing. I need you to have my thing, whether they need it or not, right? Trying to
Exactly.
cram a puzzle piece in together. And I appreciate you use these qualities to be able to find, oh my gosh, there's so many things that people are doing improperly that I've fallen into the trap of doing over and over again, or I had to learn the hard way. I just want to create that solver for them. And so I love being able to share the word about your company and tell everybody, oh my gosh, if you even don't know what you don't know, do your homework and ask somebody, who do I need to know in my business right now? And I share that with you. Let's add value to incredible people and be able to make these things available, not just because everybody needs them, but because you know that you can solve that problem for them.
Yeah, 100%.
You have been incredible. I'm so excited. Is there anything on the horizon that you want to share with everybody that you've got coming up?
Just really building our business. I mean, doing more things for more people, streamlining what we're doing, and just getting even better at the services that we deliver. I think that's, we've. I'd say as an entrepreneur, I've tried a lot of things, and some have worked great, and many have not worked well at all. And so, yeah, I think that's another lesson over time, Tiffany, that I feel like for entrepreneurs in particular who have a propensity to, chase shiny objects and go after things. It's like there's a balance there to strike, and I think really focusing on what you do best, and I think that's what we're trying to do, more than I ever have, and yeah. So I think we'll just get better and better at what we deliver to, and don't try to be all things to all people, right? You can only serve. You're not going to be able to do everything for everybody. So really knowing your niche, that's something we're trying to really, really do these days too.
I cannot echo that enough, meaning like stay laser focused on what it is you're best at and hire out the rest. I don't want you to do your taxes. I don't want you to do your paperwork. I don't want you to do attorney paperwork. Hire out the people and let you just remain focused on what it is you're doing and be able to be the best at what that is instead of, like you said, shiny object. I 100% agree with you. Incredible advice. You've been amazing. I'm so excited that we met. And I look forward to being able to share this episode with everybody and all the great little snippets that you've shared. Thank you for being on the show.
Of course.
If you guys are listening, still watching, thank you so much. And if you need to know somebody, ask us. Like, by all means, we're super well connected and we're happy to share so that way we can help you grow. As Matt said, value first. And look forward to seeing you guys on the very next episode. Hang out with you then. Bye.